Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you all about what my reason was for getting suspended on Twitch and also what my plans are going forward. I'm going to try and structure this video into two parts, where the first part is going to be me talking about the Twitch suspension, second part is going to be talking about myself. And the first thing I want to start off with is something that I know it might sound a little bit insincere because of how ridiculous this is, but I really mean it, and if you listen to the whole video, I hope you can see why. Everybody who's come and spoken out and talked to me and said stuff about me, aside from the, oh, you should kill yourself or something like that, I want to say that I really appreciate you. And I think this has been something that's a long time coming. And I actually think that this is something that not only I deserved, but it's also something that I needed. And I want to talk about what the reason for that is, but I want to start off and just make sure that that's actually very clear. So a couple of days ago, I made some comments about Palestine and also about Hamas and, some just general, basically opinions that were trivializing the genocide that's happening there. And I don't really want to mince words or try to oh, I wasn't justifying or, promoting it. I said something about it that was disgusting. I said that I didn't care about innocent people getting killed by another force, by anything. And I think that that's a horrible, disgusting, mean-spirited thing to say. And I don't necessarily think that it was really racist, really. But when I'm using language like Palestinians or the people there, rather than what my real language was, I've always been very outspoken and very against religious extremism. And I still am. I think that any religion and any way of thinking that's going to cause you to put other people in kind of positions below you as gay people, women, people with disabilities, anything like that, I think that that's a really bad position to have, and I really don't like that. And I think that my problem and my fault here was that I was making a criticism of religious extremism, and I made no effort. And I feel like almost I've rewatched the clip, right? Or a number of the clips.
Totally fair question. Soulmate, why are we watching this? You shouldn't give spotlight to the wrong people. Giving a spotlight or platforming problematic people is not what we're doing right now. If I was just going to watch this and have nothing to say, then that would be perceived as platforming. I'm clearly consuming what his apology, feedback, response here is, and then I will give my extended, presumably if I have any thoughts on it, I'll give my thoughts on it. Not platforming. That would be a very separate thing here. I understand that what he did was terrible. I agree. I literally covered it yesterday. I mean, it's not like I'm sitting here in a vacuum not letting you know that. Again, you can go over to the whole link here is right there for you. if you care to see that there. But I'm this is pretty important. Again, we're in an unprecedented situation here where someone of this caliber, of this viewership on the platform that I'm domestic to, quite honestly, fucked up pretty hard. My thumbnail was not inaccurate here. This was pretty much the worst thing you could possibly say. Because it's effectively it's conveying the complexity of intention behind using N-word hard R. It is just definitively and it was literally Nazi rhetoric all the way through here. Inferior culture. You're not adhering to my values, Western values. It was pretty nuclear cringe what he said in 76 seconds or 79 seconds, however long the clip was. It bathed in incomprehensibly baffling amounts of ignorance. So yeah, I'm kind of curious here of where's this going to go? Is it reflection? Is it an apology? Is it doubling down? I'm willing to hear him out here. I mean, it's a pretty fast response video, so I don't know if the whole introspection has processed all the way through here. I don't know, honestly. I don't know. So therefore we are finding out. But I think this is probably pretty important for me to consume on stream, as opposed to just doing it in my private and then just not even, and then just telling rather than showing everything I'm feeling or everything else here. So it's 20 minutes, not a big deal, and then we're done.
And it's like I've almost made an effort not to draw a distinction between the two things. I think that a lot of us here can easily say that we're against religious extremism, and I am. But whenever I categorize everybody in the area as this like group, then I'm the asshole, and I was the asshole. I had a lot of you guys tell me that, and it's taken me. This is what's so crazy about it, is that I think this has been going on now for like 2 years. I think that I've been slowly devolving into the most mean-spirited, I don't really even know what the word is for it. Just like the most mean-spirited, rude, like nasty, like just callous, psychopathic version of myself. I think that I've been devolving into this. And a lot of my friends have told me this. My dad has told me this. He said, you've got to chill out. You've got to calm down. I've been like, oh, that old man doesn't know what he's talking about. And I've finally had some level of accountability for that. And thank God. I look back at some of the things that I've said and done over the past 2 years, and I don't think that I've been wrong about everything, obviously, right? But there have been ways that I've communicated and ways that I've acted that are indefensible. And I think looking back on it, it's just disgusting. And it's something that when you get lost in the sauce and you get fixated around like listening and reading feedback and, just getting hyper fixated, this is like your entire life, you lose a perspective on reality and you lose a perspective on the world. And I think that perspective was brought into perspective yesterday and the day before when I was making comments like this. And I feel so stupid. It's crazy. So I'm getting all these people making negative comments toward me. Everybody is telling me like, oh, go kill yourself. I hate you. Everything like this. Do you know who reached out to me? And they wanted to talk and have a conversation and see if I was okay. It's people that were Islamic and people that had fucking family in Palestine. And how humiliating is that? How absolutely humiliating is that? And these were the people I was trying to say were bad. And I feel like such a fucking stupid asshole. I really do. I've always been I guess like I've always been kind of like an atheist. And even as a young kid, I was raised Roman Catholic, and I was always very defiant towards it. And I've always had a negative opinion of religion, and I've also had a negative opinion of religious cultures. And I think that opinion is definitely shaped by the media that I've created, and the media I've created for myself, and then also just the media that exists, the media that I've chosen to seek out as well. And I think that media has allowed me to have certain predispositions and certain biases that the truth is that don't have any sort of relation to what my own real life has been experienced, or my own real life experience has been, excuse me. And so
waiting for the video before I make like extended comments, but I do want to interject with what Bob Gray is saying. I don't like religion either, but you can't get lost in the sauce hating it. Brilliantly put there. Ultimately, there's a fine line between being openly, confidently, self-journey describingly atheist, and then when becoming atheist is its own full-time religion, and you're a moderator on r/atheism. That line gets crossed very quickly, and if you're not keeping track of it, atheism becomes its own full-time religion, effectively. The irony, right? So definitely important to keep tabs on there for sure.
I've been spending a lot of time talking to those people, and I've seen people like fans of mine, like I had viewers messaging me on Discord, like, why are you saying this? Like, do you want to talk? Do you want to, like, I'm willing to talk to you, and like, let's try to work this out, right? We love you. And I scrolled up on their messages, and these are people that messaged me in like 2016, 2017, 2018, like, I love your content, I love your stream, I love you, right? And now they get to hear this from me. And I just feel like such a stupid, belligerent fucking asshole. I really do. And I'm sorry. I really am. I think that it's extremely fair to criticize religious extremism, and I think that it's extremely unfair to categorize everybody in part of that group as religious extremists. I think it is, and I'm really sorry for that. I've just been a fucking dick. And it's weird because yesterday I woke up and I didn't know if I was going to get suspended or not. And I had planned on streaming and everything. And I actually got a text message from one of my mods. They said, "Oh, I heard about the suspension. I'm sorry." And I was like, I remember I was like driving and like, you know, you'd think that like your heart rate would go up. But if anything, I felt more relaxed. I felt like finally I have a moment to just take a step back and breathe and think for myself and just stop, just like get out of my own head. And I spent a long time like just writing basically a list of all of these things that like I think that I should be doing with my life. And this is going to be kind of the second part, by the way, of the video. Comments that I made were pretty much about religious extremism. I think it's bad, but I've categorized a lot of people in that way that was unfair. It's wrong for me to have done that. I said something that was bad. I should not have said that. I should have chosen my words more carefully. I didn't do that. I doubled down on it. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. That's pretty much, I was a fucking asshole. I was a piece of shit. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. And so, actually I do know what else to say. I don't like making apologies because I think words don't matter. But I do think changed actions and changed behaviors do. And so you can take my apology as hopefully better content. And if you're not seeing that, I want you to hold me accountable. Hopefully this time I won't be stupid enough to ignore it. Mouth is pretty dry. Anyway, so the second part about this is that I want to talk a little bit about like my life, my personal life, etc., and kind of some of the points that I think that I've kind of gone through to get here. So the main thing is that for the past, like, I would say like 10 years or so, if you look at my life like this, I would have said 10 years ago or maybe 8 years ago, streaming was like this, right? YouTube was like this. And now I would say that my life and streaming are basically the exact same size. And what I mean by that is that streaming is my entire life. Doing this is my entire existence. And I think that the process of that has been extremely unhealthy for me. And I think that what it's done is that it's allowed me to become such a one-dimensional person that I'm not even a person anymore. It's like I'm in Dark Souls, I'm going hollow or something. And I think about like all of the, you know, like I made a list of all of the things that I'm not doing in my life that I should be doing. And I was writing it down and I'm like, you know, fucking like, I'm just going and going and going. I'm like, oh my God, I think it'd be shorter if I transcribed the Bible. Like, this is insane. Like, like, whenever I have everything written down line for line, it's like, oh my God, I'm ruining my life. I've been existing and I want to, at a certain point, actually try to live my life. And I don't think that I've been doing that. And so what am I going to do? How am I going to do that differently? And what does that mean for my stream, etc.? I think that I'm going to cut down a little bit on streaming quite as much. And I think I'm also going to cut down. This is going to sound like, I hope I can say this in the right way. I feel like the main times that I laugh on my stream nowadays are when I'm laughing at other people. And I look back on videos that I did from 2020, 2016, and 17, and yeah, I've always been an asshole, but holy shit, I've been way more of an asshole. It's insane. And it's a night and day difference. And I've had, again, everybody in the world telling me this, including my own dad, and I've just ignored them. And finally, it's like, you know what? Maybe I'm an asshole. Maybe this is too far. Maybe I need a course correction, which is why I think that like getting suspended in this, I hope that it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. And I don't know whether that's going to be true, but I'm going to try to do things differently and make sure to live up to that reality. And so what are those things that I'm going to be doing differently? The first thing is that I think I'm going to try. I've been very much trying to like maintain a consistent schedule with my stream, and I will continue to do that. I want to get up and go to bed at relatively the same time. I want to live a normal life, and also I want to spend maybe a little bit less time streaming, and I want to spend more time creating my own videos and doing my own things. and spending time on things that I really enjoy, and basically just like expanding my existence as a person. I think that ever since I started like OTK and I got involved with that, and then we had like other Starforge and like Mad Mushroom and Mythic and everything, like honestly, it's been too much for me to handle. It's been completely too much for me to handle, and I've been losing my mind dealing with it, and I try to hide it the best I can, because, you know, I try to do the best, right? I try to do my best. You know, it doesn't matter how hard it gets, you just keep going, it doesn't matter. And eventually it does matter. And I think that I've negatively affected a lot of them. And I also don't want to talk about that just in the context of just like this recent controversy. I want to talk about this in the context of the last 2 years. I think that I haven't really been able to fulfill my responsibilities as a leader in a lot of cases to them. And I think that I've let a lot of people down. And there have been things that I've done that are positive as well. But I think that one thing this thing has taught me, this whole situation has taught me, it's made me realize, is that I need to get myself in check. I need to get my mind under control. I need to, like, just get my life I need to fix my fucking life. Like, it's insane. Like, I think about it and it's in shambles. Everything about my life is basically fucked. And I'm going to take a step back from all of that. I'm going to step away from my leadership position and OTK and Starforge and everything. I want to, and they're fine with that. They respect that, and I want to do this. And I want to do this not only for them, but mainly for myself, so I can be a better version of myself for everyone. And I want to apologize to all you guys, my viewers, that I don't think I've lived up to that. I think that I can be a lot better than what I am right now. And I don't even think that I've been putting in half the effort that I should be in the way that I should be. And I'm sorry. And so my plan is to, when I get unbanned, I'll keep streaming regularly, right? And I want to focus more on trying to do things that are fun, trying to laugh more with people rather than at people. I'll still laugh at people every once in a while, okay? Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. But it's about a focus, and it's about a tone. I listen to my tone in the clip, and I just sound like such a piece of shit. Really, at the end of the day, I sound like a piece of shit. I sound like a terrible person. And it's just so mean-spirited and callous and just mean. And I don't want to be that person anymore. And I've spent a long time growing up. The time I did, I was an r/atheism enjoyer. I have a very negative opinion of a lot of religions. I've had the experience firsthand.
I feel like I have to pause there because the previous pause was a call out on the end game of what that attitude would lead to. And shocker, shocker, the name drop happens later in the video. Well, what do you know? Small world, chat. You'd swear this was pre-watched on my end.
The time I did, I was an r/atheism enjoyer. I have a very negative opinion of a lot of religions. I've had the experience firsthand of the negative effects of Christianity and, the way that I view that. And I've always read a lot of very bad things about Islam. And I've made a lot of criticisms of it. I've talked to a lot of people about it. I've heard a lot about it. And I've been like watching things about it. And I've been like hearing people telling me this is the way it is. But I've never seen it. And I actually think that after all of this, I think towards the end of next year, I think I'd like to visit the Middle East and see it for myself. I want to see it for a historical perspective, right? I would love to go to Istanbul in Turkey. There's no ulterior motive there at all. But it's not just that. I'd love to visit places like Saudi Arabia, Dubai, any of the other places. I mean, the truth is that, and this is the worst thing about what I said, some of the places that I would want to visit, I might not be able to because of the way that they're like just the internal strife, the actual literal wars that are going on, people being literally killed there, and I might not be able to do that. But I want to do it, and I want to see it for myself because I don't like believing what people tell me. And I think that when I do, I end up being a fool. And I want to see it. I want to see it for myself, and I want to experience it, and I want to live my life. And I'm going to try to, like, I don't know, like, clean up part of my house. I'm going to try to do this, and I'm not going to hire a cleaner. As I said, I was raised Roman Catholic. I view this as a penance. And I think I need to do this for myself. I need to take accountability for bad things that I've done and for letting my life get this out of control. And I don't need a get out of jail free card. So I need to do that for myself and for my own closure as well. And I think also I want to live for the idiots out there that, you know, they're you know, like, looking to me to be a role model, right? Oh, not a good idea. But there are people that will see that, and they'll think maybe to themselves, maybe I should do the same thing. And if I can do that for one person, well, I've already done it for myself. I've already done a good thing, and so it could only get better. And so that's what my plan is. I'm going to try to, like, rethink my life. I have had a lot of people reach out to me. People I would have never expected reach out to me in ways that I never expected. And I understand that, you know, like, I'm still very critical about, you know, religious fundamentalism, right? But when you paint with such a broad brush that you just include an entire group of people, you're just being you're being a piece of shit. It's like people said it was racist. I didn't mean it as racist, but if you listen to what I said, it's easy that you could assume that. So easy. And so I'm just a fucking idiot. I'm a fucking moron. I've been an asshole. I think that I've devolved for the last 2 years. I think that I've negatively affected other people too, in ways that I hate. I don't even hate to say this. Like, I think I need to say this. I need to say it more. I've negatively affected people in ways that I regret. I think whenever I go back live again, I'll probably talk about that more. And, you know, like, there's some just different people I kind of want to apologize to, and, you know, take accountability for things that I've said and done that have negatively affected other people in ways that were unfair and wrong. And that's what my plan is. That's about it. I want to say that I hope that now, after you've heard what I have to say, that a lot of you all can see kind of why I'm saying that I appreciate this. I really think that this is something I needed, and I hope that this is the next part of the rest of my life. And I want you guys to hold me accountable to that. So if I'm being a fucking asshole again, if I'm being mean, if I'm just being callous, acting like a psychopath, just treating people awfully outside of a WoW raid when they get killed by fire, but really laughing at people's misfortune, try to say, man, just chill the fuck out, stop it. Just stop. And I'm gonna do my best to listen. I spent 2 years ignoring it, and look where it got me. This is not even the tip of the iceberg of the problems in my life. And I want to thank everybody for making me aware that that's the case. And hopefully I can avoid the iceberg, right? And so I want to say that's pretty much about all I've got. I'm sorry for a lot of people I let down, not just with comments like this, but also just with the way I've been doing things in general. I think that you guys deserve a much better version of me than what you've been getting. And I hope that I can live up to that in the future. And I don't even want to think about it in the future, right? As soon as I get unbanned, the best apology is better content, change behavior. And that's what I hope to do. So yeah, anyway guys, I'm just going to focus on myself for a while, try to improve my own life, and there's a lot of things I think, again, I'll probably talk about more whenever I go live again, that are like more kind of, you know, just like kind of in the weeds, like personal stuff. But overall, that's the big picture. That's where I'm at. And so anyway, that's about all I've got, and I'll see you guys soon. I'm going to try to just take this time off to, you know, really kind of fix my shit. So yeah, anyway guys, that's about it. I'll see you later. Bye.
Okay, all right. So I heard him out. Let's yeah, I guess for the remainder of the stream here, we're gonna go ahead and talk about this now, because there's a couple things here that are on my mind, if you don't mind. Sorry, I know we ended the Sakurai thing a bit abruptly here, but yeah, there's a couple things to dive into here, if you don't mind. So yeah, the apology and the message altogether here does feel sincere. I do see that. Obviously, the plot twist of Israeli, Palestinians, and various other people who may have been collectively in the group that he, belittled in his comment were among the groups that were reaching out to him and whatnot. Again, this is pretty entrenched because I actually feel like I can relate pretty strongly to where he is. Again, both with the 2018 F slur for me as well as the 2019 Destiny N-word fiasco as well. Both of those, I was given a very not fun, quite terrible, mentally distressing situation of like, I guess being canceled or whatever. I mean, I got death threats, told to kill myself, just people who had never consumed my content before, who only saw that one slither out of context, and either I'm an emotional soy boy pussy cuck, or I'm a fascist dictator bigot who deserves an express lane to the nearest guillotine. I've been in that hot seat and it's pretty terrible. I had to actually like give my phone to Venom because I was like, okay, I don't even know what to do right now. You say one thing and you're fighting like 30,000% the traffic that you can even like deal with at the time. It's pretty insane. So I'm sure for him, just like unfathomable amounts of content and traffic coming at him here with like everything for sure, right? And so, let me think here for a second about it. So what I have here, no, for sure. I'm not comparing the incidents. I was more saying that I've been in that level of stress is what I was trying to say. I'm sorry, I should clarify on that focus here. I've been in this level of stress, and for him being able to like see through all the noise and find the signal of like, again, presumably the Israelis and the Palestinians who are reaching out to him and whatnot. That is I guess I would say shocking, maybe. I don't know.
Hello streamer, thanks for the content.
Thank you, Harambe. Glad to have you back here, bro. Thanks for the prime sub. So I wrote a couple of things down here I wanted to tackle in terms of because it's kind of it's a lot. There's a lot to happen in this last 20 and a half minutes that I'm trying to remember even what I want to like reflect on or comment on. So let's start first with, I guess, what would be the two things that I feel like stand out as perceptively a negative in terms of the response. And that's that, one, clarifying your statements and that what you meant to say rather than what you did say does feel like you're amending the communication, which is to me ultimately in the excuses column. Oh wow, here we go. Fire. We're taking sorry here. Thank you, Firefly, for the prime sub. Appreciate you. You're almost at a hype train right now. Okay, thank you, everyone. Dude, big pogs here. I just got started cooking here actually. So yeah, when you're clarifying your statements, that is you like, that's effectively you like doing an action, right? Like you're throwing the pitch or you're throwing the ball, and then now it's your opponent's turn to respond to whatever you did, right? In this case, swing the bat. But you're like, but you knew that your pitch was so bad or whatever that you're eager to like, is it my turn yet? Can I like, you're not listening. You're like ready to like do your next attack. It's my turn. You attack my attack. You attack my attack. And clarifying statements to me kind of comes off as like the excuses column, which really should be reserved for later in the whole apology thing here, because of, in this case, the severity of what he said was so bad here. It's kind of like clarifying statements, I'd say, is like secondary to like really showing like specific course correction on misinformation. In this case here, obviously the elephant in the room here is the whole like, well, yeah, I said that, Palestinians are, he said that they're an inferior culture and shit like that. Now he gave the anecdote of like, some Palestinians, a non-zero amount of them, reached out to him in private to ask him how he's doing and whatnot. And that's when it really hit him that he's like, okay, I'm a terrible person at this point for what I have said and what I've done. I can't believe I didn't have any kind of checks and balances to get a better grip on like everything that's happening here right now. But it would have meant so much more, I guess, maybe to explicitly go into the trenches. I know that religious extremism is what he was referring to, but in the end, what he said is worth like, okay, yeah, maybe like Palestinian conflict is like not your forte. Maybe the history of like Israeli conflict is also, again, not in your savvy repertoire. But what you said does need to be like, to me at least here, course corrected and like maybe like show that you've really done your homework on that and like kind of like get in there and tell everyone the truth, or, you know, negating the misinformation that you had spread. That to me is, you know, the more appropriate thing to do right now to actually clean up the sludge that you disputed previously on the VOD that we reviewed yesterday. That to me would be the better action than clarifying your statements. Oh, you're mad at me for what I said. Okay, that's a skill issue because what I meant was this. You see what I'm saying here? Like, it's not like there's two paths you can go in that. Clarifying statements has a place, but I don't think it's actually like right now, because again it comes off as excuses to me, if I'm allowed to critique the apology here. So that's big point one that I'm not really a fan of. If we're, again, I'm just, you know, forgive me if I come off too whatever here, feel free to stop me. And then the second big point here in terms of the negative column I'm giving here for the apology would be that it kind of comes off as, again, amending the action instead of, or really redeeming the individual versus amending the action. So there's a lot of like, you know, here's what I'm going to do as a person, and what I did was because I as a person have just not been in the right mental space for the last 2 years. Which again, all of this is, again, it's probably me kind of repeating the first point here, but like, it's a clarifying statement, which is ultimately the excuses pile. But then the other one here is like amending the action would have been the more powerful move versus like looking into the redeeming the individual. I think redeeming the individual is the thing that we're going to like look into once we're like, we're past the apology and we're like, I suppose, accepting the apology, in that we, the anonymous public who are consuming your content, can look at your apology in a sincere effort and say that I still want you in my life. I have not exiled you from my relevant existence. In that I believe that you have a road to redemption, and that these wrongs you have done can be a learning experience and can lead to a better tomorrow, both for you and me. And that I still care about you by the extension of consuming your content and checking in on you, even though we live a parasocial viewer x streamer life, right? Obviously, for people that we don't care about in this case here, we can look at, you know, again, I say here, shots fired, but Jack Notary, or people who are unable to show change or reflection from their actions and consequences. Those people clearly are a net negative, and they're not worth considering or caring about. Notice, I don't care about Sneeko. I don't care about Jack Notary. I don't care about whoever, whatever, who's just obviously again, a universal shit stain on the existence of the internet, right? Because they show no capability to reflect, and they show no shame. So yeah, redeeming the individual, I love that. I love there's even a path to this here, but I feel like it's a bit short-sighted given that we didn't get the more direct amendment to the misinformation that was done. It's almost like, it's kind of like, if I had to use like an analogy, I suppose here, it's like there's a spill in the aisle and you're using a mop that is not like wet or moist. You're just using a dry mop all the way, and it's not doing the best job of like removing the stain. The stain in this case here was all the terrible, hurtful things he had said, and you kind of need to, you know, you need to like moisten the mop first to do a better job of collecting the sludge and removing it entirely. That's kind of how I would put it there, if that kind of makes sense. Now, with those two negatives out the way here, beyond that, I did see shame, reflection, a lot here. Shame, reflection, and introspection. Yeah, he's very shamed for what he said. The reflection does seem to be a thing that's currently happening right now here. In the beginning, I thought that his call to like, I'm going to return streaming as soon as a 2-week ban is done, that to me did seem like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, you're like really, like I was worried there because I'm like, man, you seem really eager to get back on that horse and do a better job, which again, I think I perceived like getting back on the horse as like, I'm so eager to clarify my position better. That way people know that I wasn't wrong. I just misspoke and mistargeted, which is still like excuses and not exactly, yeah, no shit, you misspoke and mistargeted here. But clearly, like, beyond those two factors, you also just like hurt a lot of people all the way through here, which, and also it spread some, there was a non-zero amount of your audience that was like, fuck yeah, brother, based. Yeah, I agree, they're fucking inferior. So you really gotta be like vehemently disgusted with what bear witness to those who are co-signing what you said, which now you reflect on. You're disgusted by it, but there is a non-zero amount of your fandom, your consumers, your viewers who co-sign that. You should be disgusted by that and exile them from your association entirely. You should draw the line and say that if you agree with this, you're not with me. It needs to be like definitive like that, in my opinion. So that to me would be but in the first 10 minutes of this, when he was like, his first mention of like, I'm coming back in 2 weeks, I was like, ooh, okay, yeah, he's like really eager for that redemption arc. Okay, a little too eager in my opinion. But then by the end of the video, when he was clarifying, that there is more to come. Yeah, this apology is coming there, and his perspective again, as he's mentioned before, he's very notoriously outspoken in this regard here. Apologies suck. Actions speak louder. I totally agree with that. But again, that's like, I can agree with that ideology, certainly. Apology, and as a man, as a person, woman, whoever here, your word means shit. You can say everything you want to say all day here. You can deliver these like gentlemen's agreements and empty promises that are all just verbal diarrhea. In the end, what really defines anyone here is going to be your actions, what you choose to do with your non-refundable time on this planet, and what you prioritize with the actions you are choosing to do in your time. So what are your priorities by reflection of what you choose to do, and what are your actions that you're doing altogether? And that's what defines you in the end here. Your words or promises all mean nothing, because your promises are only being reinforced by your actions anyway, right? So I totally get that. PewDiePie, when he said N-word at the bridge, he had a similar thing. He was like, yeah, I apologize, and I can apologize all day here, but in the end, what's really going to move everything forward here is my actions with what I'm doing at that point. So PewDiePie reinforced that by just constantly showing through time and letting time heal, in this case, the reputation, that what he said was terrible. And again, I don't know, I'm not a PewDiePie mega fan here, so I don't know exactly what his like apology tour consisted of here, but I do recall him speaking on an interview about like the apologies only go so far, actions go way further here. And through action, he was gonna prove and show reform from the bridge incident and whatnot. So so I understand where he's coming from there, and he's reinforcing a resemblance of a principled outlook here, in the context that he has consistently said over and over and over again that I don't apologize, because apologies are just performative, surface level word vomit, and they're not actions. When I've really fucked up are the more important thing, right? So I think when he's saying all that here, it's stemming from that. It's stemming from the whole like that thing. But again here, I still am like, there's still a lot of admittedly privilege going on here, if I'm being real, right? Like coming back 2 weeks later does feel like this response coming like within 24 30 hours of everything is a bit abrupt. I'm not sure if it's been enough time to genuinely reflect on everything here. You're still going through the thick of it. No pun intended there, KSI. Don't sue me, please. You're still going through it, and you need to, are you done processing all your things here? Have you really given comprehensive evaluation to what path you want to put forward here? You're already throwing out cemented plans of coming back and streaming when your 2 weeks is up, or close to that, right? That feels a bit, it's a bit soon to, I think, have that level of commitment on the whole thing. Just because, like, I don't think you know everything, but I mean, he also did detail here some major revelations about, like, stepping down from OTK and focusing on more his own tangibles rather than being so preoccupied here. I get that too. But so I don't get lost in my own points here about that. Yeah, it does feel a little bit too soon. It's like, I admit, if I'm being real, this is subjective now, but I'm not as comfortable with like being told here that you're back to streaming within 2 weeks. People are gonna, had he said, I'm gonna step away for a little bit and I'll see y'all in a bit, to go reflect and whatnot, people would have been like, oh, the of course, right, the multimillionaire hitting the escape hatch on his fighter jet, and then out of here he goes to disappear and let time heal on its own way here. That can, it's like you got to pick one, right? You can't say come back, I hate you, or go away, I hate you. There's, the going away would be the reflection, and let's not pretend here for a second that there's so much going on here. I'm trying to like not get caught in the whole thing here, but like tips out, if you don't know who this is here, that's the OTK manager guy. I don't know what his exact position here is, but it's very clear that tips out is a very prominent individual in his life. This is a higher up at OTK here. He put a very, very long thing here that's a really, really good read. And might be who he's referring to whenever he he didn't say who it was here or who they were, but I presume that tip out, because if you read this whole thing, co-owner, there you go, thank you. He has a very heartfelt thing that he goes off here about the whole like what it's like growing up like Arab passing in a post 9/11 USA and how fucking terrible that whole thing was. So yeah, and there's a whole lot to go into there about this, though I don't think I have the time because I have to go in about 20 minutes here, so forgive me on that. But him going away for a little bit to reflect further and further, not on a deadline basis, not on a timeline or deadline rooted in how long his suspension is, does feel like I'm only going to reflect for as long as I have to before I can finally start the redemption arc, I suppose. That's kind of what it comes off as, I would say. Just in my opinion, it'd be one thing if he was stepping away. It's another when you're stepping away and you're already decreeing here that, oh yeah, when my suspension is done, right, I'm so ready to get back on redemption. Which, again, I guess it's also because I'm already like kind of rooted in that I really would love to see him counter the misinformation he had spewed. That to me is like the real starting point of comprehensively righting the wrong that he had did so far. So, anything else here? I'm trying to remember if I forgot anything else here. So, yeah, that's it, short of me like reading a few tweets here, I guess. If we get time, we'll read the tips out one. It's actually a really, really good read. Did want to show this here. Dark Viper had this really, really good clip here that's kind of telling of like where the de-evolution of Asmongold was coming here as far as the content goes, his own self-admission. So here's a clip from this is from 2020 or 2019 here.
I don't want to get into like the politics stuff, because the thing is that we're not going to have a conversation in good faith about this, okay? Everybody's already got their mind made up, and the people that are actually genuinely out there looking to make an opinion are probably socially adjusted well enough to where they would never watch my stream. So it would just be a waste of time. I don't want to get into like the politics stuff, because
the maturity of knowing when you don't know enough about something to comment on it is humbling. You're not drunk off your ego, I would say, for sure. And then, just a brief revisit of the history of like where we've been in the last 1 year of his self-proclaimed 2-year decline. So yeah, just something may be going on here. One could wonder here, honestly, but. It took a front end car accident, metaphorically here, where you finally break the whip and you have to like take a second and painfully reflect upon like what's the consistent variable here on this, like, this I don't know, whatever here, woke force one constantly canceling me over and over again on the online discourse and whatnot. So there is that, but. And I'm trying to think here. Okay, there is one more thing. It's not a pretty point. I admit it's kind of a petty point, but goddamn, do I want to say it? And I guess because y'all are here, and maybe I should just kind of like throw it out there. In the end, there is a financial envy to be had here in this case here, because like the profit and proliferation of his popularity given that he's been on this like 2-year decline, does feel kind of gross, right? It's like, you know, again, I didn't even detail. I don't follow Asmongold to even know comprehensively the whole list here. I just know that there is at least one time where he was like complaining about pronouns, and there was at least one time where he was on some like woke DEI shit in a completely like, you know, in a pathetically like right wing propagandist fashion, and the effectively, you know, just like hate and fear mongering garbage of content. And the rage bait, it works really fucking well. It's very emotionally volatile, and it does lead to getting a lot of engagement, both from fans and haters, but all of that is still views at the end of the day here. And if you are enough of a narcissist or sociopath, you're able to like not really give a shit and just kind of see your paychecks, go from there. I don't think Asmon is a narcissistic sociopath. I don't think it's either of those things, honestly. But in the end, there definitely was some profit extracted from these misbehaviors. So part of that course correction to me would be like really cementing here how like the growth that came from that would be used, I guess, for forces of good going forward. He perceives it as like, you know, the content being better. I would say, again, that's still pretty conveniently self-serving. I'd love to see more benefit, or benefit, is that what I'm looking for? See more benefit maybe to, I don't want to say those affected, but just, again, it's like, at his level of wealth, there's definitely there's a lot of resource at his disposal that he could use to deploy positive change. I guess I'm trying to say here, because he's a multimillionaire, there's definitely like the average person who fucks up doesn't have the resource that he has. So in his case here, given that it has contributed to his resource accumulation, there definitely is something really cool that could be done, right? That's like a very like personal, and this is me being like so personal right now about that, like, that is something that I think would be really cool to see from him, just to like, you know, effectively remove all the taint that is coming from what these wrongs he's acknowledging here have accumulated over the last 2 years. That'd be really, really cool to see. I would be honest, and kind of like where that can go forward on just continuing to just go on this redemption tour. If he's so into the redemption, perhaps more so than the misinformation counterattack, so to speak here. So that would be something I would love to see, but in the end, it's not me, it's him, and we'll see where the whole thing here goes. Wishing him the best, wishing him the best, and I think that's about everything I can think of at a first pass without like taking notes, because I there's something I also forgot here, but we are running low on time, so forgive me. From here, I think it would be good to actually just kind of hop on the tips out tweet and read that here. This is actually really, really good. So it's a bit lengthy, but we have enough time to do it here if you allow me here, chat. I don't know if y'all have read it before here or not. If you didn't hear, I'll go ahead and I'll drop it again here. Let's join me here. We'll do it, and then we'll be pretty much done. The below are my personal thoughts and do not reflect the employer or any company or person I'm affiliated with. Hello, everyone. As many of you are aware, some comments were made by Zach yesterday about Palestinians and Muslims. Before I address his comments, I'd like to take this opportunity to share some details about my background in hopes that those reading this post may better understand who I am, where I come from, and what those comments mean to me. 34 years ago, I was fortunate enough to be born in the United States of America, a blessing and lottery ticket that I thank God for every day. My parents, Syrian immigrants from, forgive me, I pronounced it right here, Damascus, came to the U.S. in the 70s and 80s at a time when the likes of Hafez and Rafat al-Assad were massacring tens of thousands of their own people in Hamas. The sole reason I exist today can be attributed to the words of one of my father's neighbors, who informed my late grandmother that my father's friends had been arrested for political dissent, and that the Makhabat were coming for him next. Quick on her feet, my grandmother, God Almighty grant mercy on her soul, grabbed my 22-year-old father and, with tears in his eyes, shaved off his beard and sent him to Jordan, the country, hoping he would make it out. With the help of a few friends, and at a time when many thought Syria was a weedy breakfast consumed with milk, my dad was one of the few Syrians lucky enough to be granted passage to America. To that we say, Alhamdulillah. Thank God. Right? I'm thinking bad. Forgive me. I'm trying here. I'm trying to be fast too, because we had a lot to get through. At some point in the mid-'80s, my father, then working as an engineer in Los Angeles, was serendipitously reunited with one of his childhood neighbors and schoolmates in Chicago, Illinois. This man would become my uncle, and as his sister, my mother, would marry my father soon after in typical immigrant fashion. They wasted no time, and my siblings and I were born. Growing up in the early 90s, it was clear that we weren't your stereotypical American family. After all, we were Muslims. headscarves, no pork, 5 daily prayers, and so on. We dressed conservatively, packed foreign foods in our lunchboxes, and spoke with thick accents until grade school. Yet, strangely enough, I cannot recall a single moment in those early years where I felt different. Yes, our swim trunks could have been less goofy in explaining what Za'atar, Zertar, I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong here, was to kids at school was a thing. But despite all that, we were just another American family in Southern California, navigating life and seeking out the coveted dream. Then 9/11 happened. For those that may have been too young to remember, September 11th was not simply a moment or a day. It was a monumental shift in thought and discourse. People were horrified, confused, but above all, angry. In a famous incident, popular radio host Howard Stern called for the Middle East to be nuked, bombed them all, and his opinion was not uncommon. From school teachers to store clerks, politicians to celebrities, liberals to conservatives, one thing was on everyone's mind: we got to get them. But who is them? Surely the perpetrators and the murderers who planned the attack, killing thousands of innocent people in the process and changing the landscape of modern humanity. However, to some, them had a much broader definition. One of the least understood aspects of the attacks was the local aftermath, specifically the experiences of Americans who would be perceived as Arab passing. It didn't matter if you were Persian, Indian, South Asian, or even Latino. If you were within a certain shade of beige and had 3-syllable last name, you were, I'm quoting here, fucking sand nigger. And that had to be dealt with. Many religious minorities were also caught in the crossfire with Sikhs, Hindus, and Sephardic Jews, Arab Christians, and others receiving a significant share of the vitriol. Acts of wanton violence became commonplace. Houses of worship were burned down, and random people you knew from your community were being locked up. Some never heard from again. But how could this happen? How could such a monumental shift in attitude and behavior occur into the greatest country that ever exists? The same country that opened its arms wide to the tired and the poor, and not once made us feel less than any other American. Truly, to be born American is an undeniable blessing, and despite our governance, I would gladly give my life to this country and the people that have given me and my family a chance. The reason behind such a substantial attitude shift cannot be attributed to a single moment or event. Rather, it was the accumulation of decades and decades of subtle media propaganda designed to produce an other so that the powerful can continue to prey on the angry and divided powerless. It is a tale as old as time, transcending region and geography, national lines and civilizations, a governance strategy deployed all throughout history to keep us, the people, at odds. It is this same calculated dehumanization that has led to some of the most heinous crimes and bloody massacres whose horrors we do not utter aloud. To many who heard Zach's comments, the language he used, whether intended or not, reeked some of the same dehumanization that plagued their ancestors, their grandparents, and in some cases, their families today. It is the same language used to justify wanton violence, genocide, and the destruction of our universal brotherhood. It is the same language used to brush off a video of a Palestinian woman and child burning alive as a price of war. I am not writing this post to defend the dignity of the Palestinians suffering in Gaza. Dignity does not require defense. Bars. It is a right. Bars. To those who have supported the humanitarian efforts and self-determination of the Palestinian people and all oppressed around the globe, thank you. To those brave enough to look beyond your own anger and reach out to their Jewish friends and neighbors, thank you. These are trying times that will test us all. Zach's comments may have been the impetus for this post, but if there is one thing I hope to convey in my incoherence, it is this. I desperately plea to all those reading to wake up, to the forces around you that wish nothing more than to separate you from your fellow man and conquer your hearts, your minds, and your humanity. Those that wish for you to look upon your school teachers, store clerks, and neighbors as them, for they are not them, they are you. Born to different circumstances, no doubt, but are you nonetheless. Open your skin and take a look for yourself. We all bleed the same blood, share the same dreams, and will one day rot in the same earth until our bones have long become dust, and the difference in our beings will be no thicker than air. Bars. Please, for the love of all that is holy and good, look out for yourself and those around you. And if you ever feel the urge and anger to reduce your fellow man to anything less than yourself, ask aloud, who benefits? Thank you for taking the time to read this. I'm spending most of my upcoming time behind the scenes to ensure that staff and teams are all right, that OTK continues to grow into the place I know it can be. In the meantime, peace. Okay, so really good read. And again, very likely, probably the primary factor that that Asmon's referring to when he's saying that, you know, that the people that he inflicted were maybe the ones who reached out to him and whatnot here. Yeah, that was really, really good. A very, very good read here. I'll link it again. And reading that now, actually, to conclude our points here, I do remember actually what I was going to say in the end.
Sup try and chat.
Hey, what's up, Shag? We're hitting it heavy right now. What I was gonna say in the end was that I can reflect upon myself, and I remember really when things changed for me. I'll be real here, if I can for a second. When the 2018 F slur happened, and people were perceiving me as a homophobic bigot for using the F slur, I didn't call my friend the F slur because of his sexual orientation. He was heterosexual, so it had nothing to do with that. It was how he was playing the game. I was so eager to clarify my statements. I wanted to come live the next day. I couldn't, I was banned. Come live the next day and be like, chat, what I was referring to was how he played. When we play games and we get rowdy, we use words. And the word I was using, and I was going to double down. I was like so angry that I was misconstrued and blah, 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 blah. And you know what? I am so happy that I was suspended, actually, because I would have been, I had not reflected, honestly. I was so busy and preoccupied being in retaliation. Why me? Why me when these other streamers, spew retard 16 times an hour? I used F slur once, I get hit with a ban. I was so caught in the whataboutisms and all the other shit here and trying to reinforce some kind of double standard crybaby bullshit. It was pathetic and cringe. What really changed for me, though, was it was the same week, actually. I was going to the San Francisco Twitch headquarters early before TwitchCon to film that skit that I did in 2018. Yeah, for TwitchCon 2018, if you remember, the one where the game thing that happened or whatever it was. They made a game based off of my appearance or whatever. And so when I was there, I'm in San Francisco and I'm at Twitch HQ. I'm in the gay capital of the fucking world, right? And the level of shame I felt, because I'm like, well, who knows? Because at the time I was banned. The ban was for 1 week, and I'm like, I have to leave early for TwitchCon, still scheduled, right? And I'm like, who knows what happened? Do they know the full context? It doesn't matter, because Kotaku and all of them were running with it. Newsweek, Kotaku, they are like, oh, Twitch's global emote uses homophobic slur in heated gaming exchange. And it sounds like I fucking told the kid to go kill himself, honestly, right? And which is terrible. But I felt great shame. Like I felt so eager to preemptively apologize to anyone who I like, anyone working there, like all the staff. I felt such an overwhelming amount of shame because I'm in like the rainbow capital of the world right now, that I'm like, damn, bro, this sucks. I can feel it. I can feel it. And the thing is, no one was mad. There was like this like shroud of like self-inflicted disappointment in myself, because I'm like, I hate how I feel right now. And no one's telling me that they are disappointed with what I'm banned, obviously, but I don't even know if everyone even knew at that time that I was suspended. I was just like, man, this is not a good feeling. And I hate how I feel. I clearly need to do better. It doesn't matter that I didn't mean it that way when I said it. I fucking said it. And context matters, words matter, etc. here. And it was at that point I'm like, no, okay, I'm done. I at that point officially I lost the fight. I lost the will to fight in me. I'm like, no, you're totally right. This is not the first time. I can actually, as I dug further and further back in my brain, I could remember as far back as 2013 being told F slur is not a good word. You shouldn't say that. I'll even be real here. I'll keep it all the way real right now. Never revealed fact. I had an emote on FFZ way back in 2013 that I was going to title Beta F slur, 2 syllables. And a moderator told me, hey, we can't put F slur as an emote code, bro. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And I just brushed it off as like them being pussy or whatever the fuck. As far back as that, 5 years prior, at being told that, hey, that word is that's a nasty word there. You shouldn't say it. Didn't care. So, and I'm like, man, wow. And these moments were hitting me all the way. And I'm like, damn, bro, I'm I'm so stupid. I'm so fucking cringe. But at the same time here, that reinforces to you all that I have grown. You know, when we were doing the subathon and I was playing retro VODs from like 2011 and this just loaded in like, you know, retard and F-slur, yeah, it's cringe, honestly. But I also don't feel like insanely embarrassed. I feel foolish because I'm like, oh, I should have remembered how bad these VODs are, honestly. And I stopped playing them because I don't want to contribute to, like, obviously I can't relate to that. I don't speak that way, and that was from a time that's clearly symptomatic of me being a 4chan frequenter and whatnot. But yeah, I don't speak that way anymore. It's embarrassing, it's cringe, but I'm not that way now. So I don't I guess what the word here would be, like, the shame is like we're moving on now. So all right. And with that, I love you all. It's 3 o'clock here. I'm actually they're pinging me now in the Discord, so I gotta go jet.